This is huge for William Nylander as he leads the Toronto Maple Leafs in this shocking stat, and it's going to have major implications going into this season. Plus, the Minnesota Wild make a huge signing by signing Brock Faber for 8 more years on an extension, and this is going to have a major impact on them going forward, and I'm going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into it, just gotta say we're on the road for 5,000 subscribers here before the end of the summer, so if you're not subscribed already, want to keep up to date on everything that's happening around the hockey world, make sure you're down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, let's jump right into the first topic of the video today, which is Minnesota makes a huge signing. And yes, today news broke from none other than Elliotte Friedman that the Minnesota Wild have signed defenseman Brock Faber to an 8-year extension worth $8.5 million AAV, and this is a huge contract. Brock Faber just got the bag from the Minnesota Wild, and my initial reaction to this was, wow, he just got paid. But then when I actually thought about it and broke it down, I thought this is an amazing contract for them. The kid is only 21 years old, and he's coming off his first full season in the NHL, where he played very, very solid on the blue line for the Minnesota Wild. I've seen a lot of people say, I love this contract. I've seen a lot of people say maybe it's a high risk, it's an overpay of a contract here, and there is definitely arguments for both sides here, but I think in a couple years' time, we're going to be looking back on this contract and saying, wow, they got a steal on this guy, because defensemen right now, especially right-handed shot defensemen like Brock Faber, are a very valuable and very rare sight in the NHL to find a really good one. And Brock Faber is one of the best, I think, coming up. He's the future at that position. So to get paid that amount of money over the next 8 years, which would bring him up to about 29, 30 years old, it was definitely the right signing for Minnesota to lock him up over that time. And during that time, they're going to be looking to win. And if we just take a look at Brock Faber, his stats here last season, in 82 games, he had 47 points, 8 goals, 39 assists, where he had 136 shots as well, averaging 25 minutes time on ice, getting a lot of ice time here on this Minnesota Wild team. Like I said, at 21, almost 22, a couple of days away. He had 65 hits this season, and he blocked 150 shots. Brock Faber has been a great two-way defenseman last season, in his first season in the NHL for the Minnesota Wild, and it's looking like this is a great contract for this guy, because, you know, he might have not shocked you there with those stats, but at 21 years of age, in your first year in the league, getting those stats is amazing, especially at the defensive position. I mean, we've seen he's 39 assists. I mean, he's contributing offensively for this team, but then he's also contributing defensively by laying the body a little bit, by blocking the shots. He's a great two-way right-handed shot defenseman here for the future of the Minnesota Wild. And if we look at this breakdown here from J Fresh Hockey, he does these amazing breakdowns of players when they're signed, when they're traded. You can pause the video and go through it if you want, but this is a complete breakdown of his game here. A couple of highlights being he's 90% on primary assists throughout last season, which is crazy to have that high of a primary assist number, but there's also a number of great stats here. His success per position play is at 87%, which is a crazy stat as well. It means when he has the puck and he's moving it 87% of the time, it's going to turn into a successful play, which, you know, is a big stat. His exit possession rate is at a 93, I believe it says there, and it just shows how good this guy is at making those zone exits and just creating plays from the blue line. And if you just, like I said, pause the video and go through all you want here, but this guy is a tremendous defenseman. At 21 years of age, he has a world of time to grow and reach a completely different level, and this is just a perfect signing. It's not really high risk, in my opinion, because he's already playing great, but he at 21 years old, he has still a lot of time to learn, a lot of time to develop his game, and in a couple years' time, when he's fully developed and he's clicking on all cylinders on this top line right defensive pairing for the Minnesota Wild, we're all going to be looking back on this as like, man, this guy could have got paid a hell of a lot more. But great signing for the Minnesota Wild here. Another great point that I did want to add before we end this segment is the Minnesota Wild are definitely set up for the future here now. Obviously, right now they're paying $7.371 million for both Parise and Ryan Suter, and that's eating up 16.8% of the cap. But that ends after this season. The Minnesota Wild are going to have freed up about $13 million here in cap after this season. And this is going to be huge when they're going into next offseason. They have these players off, not completely off the books because they're still playing them $800,000, but they have the big number off the books and they can go out and spend this $13 million to build this team into a successful team looking to get back into the playoffs, looking to make a run at the Stanley Cup picture. And with Matt Boldy, with Brock Faber and many more players they have, they're adding these a couple of key pieces that you can get for $13 million extra in cap space is going to be huge for Minnesota, and it's going to be great for their future. I think Minnesota's one of those teams who are on the up and up right now, and once these players get off once that big money gets off the book, we're going to be looking at a really, really dominant team here in Minnesota, and I'm really excited to see it because I like cheering for Minnesota in the playoffs. They're always a team that excites my interest. Obviously, they have Kirill Kaprizov there as well, who's going to need the contract very soon, so that'll be a fun one to see how that goes as well. But Minnesota on the up and up. Wild fans, get excited. You're going to have a really fun few years ahead of you. But we're going to get into the second topic of the video today, which is the Leafs. These Leaf stats are wild, and yes, today we got the stats released from this past season of the hardest shot and the top skater, and these stats are kind of shocking. When you think about someone who has the hardest shot on Toronto, you think of the Austin Matthews and stuff like that, but it's going to shock you who the top speed shooter is, and that the top shot speed per miles per hour last season. The top was William Nylander coming in at 96.51 miles per hour. That was his top shot speed from last season. Then we have Max Domi in second with 96.4. We have Nick Robertson with 95.5. Ryan Reeves up on that list, which was very interesting to me, with 95, and then OEL obviously didn't play for the Leafs last season, but still up there in the highest shot power. And we see over here the number of shots on net over 90 miles per hour. William Nylander led the team in that as well. And one thing here we didn't see is Austin Matthews, which I thought was very interesting, because when you think of top shot speed on this Toronto Maple Leafs team, you think of Austin Matthews. I think that's the guy I thought of right away, but William Nylander's looking like he beats him clean here, and Nick Robertson obviously being second on the team with the highest shot power. And you guys might think maybe this isn't that big of a deal, but it is pretty huge, because if you're sending the puck at the net that hard, it's hard for a goaltender to react and make that save in time, and that's why I think this is going to be huge for William Nylander. We seen it last season. He went on that multiple 10-game point streaks and scoring goals, getting assists at rampant rates, and when you're shooting the puck this hard at the net, it's just going to go in most of the time, because like I said, it's hard for the goaltenders to make that save when the puck's coming at them that hot. And I think this is going to be a big thing going into this season for William Nylander. If he can keep that, power up on his shot, I think we're going to see so many goals out of him like we've seen in his career. And I think William Nylander, I'm going to book it in for 50 goals this year. I think he's going to get it. I think it's just what we're going to see. I think William Nylander, coming off that extension, has all the weight off his shoulders right now. I think he's going to go out there, score a lot of goals, get a lot of assists, and contribute a lot for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. But I thought that stat was very interesting, and it's really great to see William Nylander kind of sliding under the radar here for the hardest shot on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love to see this. I think it means a lot for William Nylander to have this power. It just means that he's going to score more goals. But we're going to get into the next stat here, which is the top speed, the top skater on the Toronto Maple Leafs in regards to speed was Bobby McMann. Hey, What about that? Bobby McMahon flying up the ice with 23 miles per hour. Simone Benoit, the defenseman, as well with 22. We have Max Domi, Pontus Holmberg, Austin Matthews making the list here at number 5. I think Austin Matthews, he's a really good skater. He's a fast skater. He deserves to be on this list. And then you have this speed bursts over 20 miles per hour. Bobby McMahon led the team with 143. Obviously, William Nylander there with 141. This guy flies as well. Max Domi, John Tavares, which I thought was very interesting. Matthew Knies, Pontus Holmberg, Morgan Riley, all tied at 98. But it's great to see these stats about who, has the hardest shot, who skates the fastest. I think these are very interesting stat lines to see. And to see Bobby McMahon, a guy who maybe you guys wouldn't have think to lead this stat, it is definitely big. Because, when he came up from the AHL, he had an instant impact on this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And I think we're going to see it again this season from him. I really do. I think he is a great player for this Leafs team, and when he came up, he kind of put his name on the map, and then he got injured in the playoffs, and there was a whole going on with that. But I think we're going to see Bobby McMahon in this lineup again this year. I think he definitely deserves a shot. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens coming out of the preseason. But other guys in this list here, like Simone Benoit, just shows, how, we know Simone Benoit as a big hitter. We know him as, the shot blocker, not as a top speed guy. But, this is big for him as well, because now, Leafs fans will be able to see, hey, Benoit has that in him. He has that speed in him. Maybe he can take off and pinch and make an ozone rush every now and then. I think that's definitely something we could see out of Simone Benoit. I think this guy, he's definitely my favorite Leafs player at the moment. I love Simone Benoit. I just love his game, and I love what he's doing back there on the blue line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But at the end of the day, it is great to see these stat lines for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just shows, how big these stats are going into the season for the Toronto Maple Leafs, knowing that, William Nylander can put that puck on pretty fast on the net, and just showing that, when he's shooting, they're not muffins. They are rockets going to the back of the net, and I think that's great to see as well. And top skaters, always an interesting one for me to see as well, because you like to see how fast these guys fly up to the ice, and when you're watching on TV, you can't really tell it, but now seeing these numbers, it's just great to see. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Who do you think is going to be the top speed, the hardest shot next year for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Who do you think this year is going to go into the season and have the hardest shot? And who do you think is going to be the top skater? Let me know down below in the comment section. Love to hear from you guys. But we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Cowboy Caps. He says, great show, always great updates. Appreciate you, Cowboy, for sharing your comment here on the video, showing your support to the channel means a lot to us. And, we try our best to keep you guys updated on everything that's happened. There's so much stuff that happens around the NHL, but we try to keep you updated, and appreciate you guys showing your love and support down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure down below, hit that like button. It helps push these videos out to all the NHL fans on YouTube. Also, comment on the video. You might be featured on the next comment of the day, just like our buddy Cowboy was here today. And subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're trying to hit 5,000 before the end of the summer. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're down below and hit that red button on your screen. Also, if you want to check out a video we did the other day talking about the Leafs, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. We'll catch you in the next one.